Hey everyone. The next time you sit down to watch American Idol, America's Got Talent, or Britain's Got Talent, and similar shows, worst audition compilations, I want you to try something different. Pause for a second. Instead of laughing, scrolling to the comments to type, bring back the insane asylums, or shaking your head at another tone-deaf performance, consider looking at it from a different perspective. I'm not here to ruin the entertainment. Those videos are wild, shocking, and yeah, sometimes unintentionally funny. But behind the cringes, the tears, the angry family members storming the judges' table, and the contestants who swear they sound just like Mariah, Whitney, or Justin Timberlake, there's a deeper story. One about human psychology, family dynamics, the harm of kind lies, and a real neurological thing some people deal with called tone deafness, or more accurately, congenital amusia. For years, I've watched these clips not just for the spectacle, but because they fascinate me. As a lyricist, songwriter, and producer, I know singing isn't my gift. I could hear it the few times I tried. But these contestants, many genuinely believe they're stars. Their families hype them up. Their friends cheer them on at karaoke nights where everyone's had a few drinks. And when Simon Cowell or the judges deliver the truth, sometimes blunt, sometimes gentler, they're devastated. Shocked. Angry. Escorted out by security. Why can't they hear it? Is it delusion? Denial? Mental illness? Or is their brain literally feeding them bad information, like a plane's sensors getting clogged, telling the pilot everything's fine when the altitude is all wrong? In this documentary, we're going deep. We'll talk about what tone deafness really is. It's not the same as being crazy. We'll look at the genetics of musical talent, why some families sing like it's in their blood, and why false praise sets people up for public failure. We'll explore the psychology, the Dunning-Kruger effect, where the least skilled often overestimate themselves the most. And we'll call for real compassion, the kind that tells the truth early, with love, instead of letting someone chase a dream that was never theirs. This isn't about mocking the contestants. Some have passed on. Many are regular, intelligent people with jobs and families who got hyped up and stepped into the spotlight unprepared. It's about understanding. It's about doing better as friends, family, and audiences. So buckle up. We're watching these auditions again, but this time, with new eyes. Let's give them something real to talk about. First, let's talk about why so many of us watch these in the first place. So, why did I start watching these worst auditions compilations in the first place? Honestly, for the same reasons a lot of you do. I've seen it in the comments thousands of times. This is my antidepressant. This is my pick-me-up. The worst auditions are better than the good ones. And I get it. When you need something to make you laugh, these clips deliver. Laughter heals, right? Now, don't assume everyone is watching just to mock the contestants. Sometimes their reactions come across as genuinely comical, even if they don't intend it. The editorial departments are masters at amplifying that. They'll cue up the perfect background music or cut in funny visuals that make it twice as hilarious. Remember the guy dressed all in white who said he was a psychic? They played "This is the Dawning of the Age of Aquarius" as he walked in. Perfect. Or the gentleman who held one note for what felt like an impossible eternity. They started showing seasons changing, fall, winter, judges pretending to fall asleep. The longer he held it, the funnier the edits got. And who could forget Abby and Lisa? The two little girls where one hits the other on stage, and the editors drop Pink's "So what? I wanna start a fight" in the background. Slapstick gold. Contestants say wild things, families storm the table to confront Simon, it becomes entertaining. I've ruined more than one shirt spitting out my food because I wasn't expecting what came out of someone's mouth. But here's another reason I tune in, as an artist, lyricist, songwriter, and producer myself. I respect the professionals' ears. Especially Simon Cowell. He's famously brutally honest, and I've always respected a straight shooter. He's like that no-nonsense uncle whose advice you want, even if it stings. He'll tell you the truth about your outfit, your song choice, your sound, whatever. You don't have to follow it, but it might save you from embarrassing yourself. Watch him. Sometimes he'll stop a contestant mid-song and say, "No, sing something else," or, "Sing it alone." Night and day difference. Or he'll close his eyes, really listening for tone, pitch, emotion, that trained ear-spotting talent most of us miss. That's why many people respect him, even if they call him mean. He's found and boosted real stars. Of course, some viewers watch for uglier reasons. They call the contestants mentally ill, say they escaped the asylum, and flood the comments with likes. I'm not here to judge them, that's how they process what they're seeing. Everyone's entitled to their perspective. But I'm offering a different one. The next time you watch shows like American Idol, Britain's Got Talent, or America's Got Talent audition compilations, look closer. These aren't just punchlines. They're people. Before we dive deeper into the struggles, let's remember why these shows hooked so many of us in the first place. They didn't just showcase the worst, they celebrated real talent from everywhere. Who could forget Susan Boyle? That unassuming woman who stepped on stage and unleashed an angelic voice. The audience and judges were stunned. It was the ultimate, "don't judge a book by its cover" moment. There are too many memorable success stories to count, but those are the ones that keep people coming back. Now, let's talk about the psychology of the ear, because not everyone's ears hear the same way. As a songwriter and producer, I pour everything into my advocacy work, turning trauma into art, shining light on issues like double standards. I write for that one person who needs to hear it, not for trends, virality, or fame. My songs speak for themselves through the comments and impact. But singing, that's never been my gift. Never will be. I grew up in church from age 5 to 18. Every Sunday, they put me in the choir. Back then, kids didn't have much say, I lip-synced the entire time. I knew I was off. How? If I tried singing along to a song in the shower, I could clearly hear I didn't sound like the original artist. I missed notes. I was flat or sharp. The gifted soloists around me were in pitch. I wasn't. So I faked it. To this day, I might sing in the shower for fun, especially songs closer to my lower, alto range. There's nothing wrong with my ears when it comes to detecting pitch. That's why I respect Simon Cowell so much. I hear exactly what he's hearing when he tells someone they can't sing. Now, let's flip it. Let's step into the shoes of some of those contestants. When they're singing in the shower or at home, they hear Mariah Carey. They hear themselves sounding like Whitney Houston or Justin Timberlake. In their minds, they're on pitch, maybe even better. It's almost like their ear is giving them an autocorrect, but it's the wrong correction. Think about an airplane. Those little tubes on the outside, the pitted tubes, measure air pressure and feed critical data to the instruments and pilot. If a bug builds a nest in there, or a cover gets left on, the information gets distorted. The pilot looks at the dial and thinks the plane is flying level, when it's actually inverted or dangerously off course. For some people with tone deafness, congenital amusia, their internal sensors for pitch work differently. It's not mental illness. It's not delusion in the psychiatric sense. Their brain processes the auditory feedback incorrectly, so what sounds perfect to them is way off to everyone else. That's the tragedy and the confusion we see in those audition rooms. Many of you have probably never heard the term congenital amusia. That's the clinical name for what we casually call tone deafness. It's a real neurodevelopmental condition affecting pitch perception and processing. It impacts a small percentage of the population, often runs in families, and has nothing to do with overall intelligence or hearing loss. The brain's wiring for distinguishing musical notes simply doesn't work the same way. That's why, the more I watch these auditions, the more compassion I feel for some contestants. You can see the genuine shock on their faces. Some run out crying. When their family storms in, equally stunned and defensive, it makes you wonder, are the family members tone deaf too? Or are they knowingly lying out of love? Here's the hard truth. When someone's internal ear is giving them that faulty autocorrect, making them sound like a superstar to themselves, constant false praise doesn't help. It harms. Telling a child or even an adult they're gifted when the evidence says otherwise is setting them up for failure. It can feel almost like emotional damage, preparing them for a devastating public crash instead of gentle redirection toward their real strengths. That's why security sometimes has to step in when the truth finally hits. Now, for the adults, many of these contestants talk about singing for years in pubs, bars, and karaoke nights, winning awards and getting big applause. Of course they do. Put a bunch of people who've been drinking in a loud room, and suddenly everyone sounds amazing. Impaired judgment can't accurately assess pitch any more than it can safely operate a car. That's not professional feedback, that's a distorted echo chamber. Real judgment comes from sober, trained ears. That's what Simon Cowell and the other judges bring. They're detached, analytical, and experienced. They hear what the rest of us hear. When they say no, it's not cruelty, it's clarity. Families mean well, calling it love. But if the whole family is tone deaf, they're all reinforcing the illusion. If there's even one person with a good ear in the group, they owe it to their loved one to speak up honestly. We'll talk more about the psychology behind why families do this, the fear of hurting feelings, living vicariously, denial, but the result is the same: crushed dreams on national television instead of quiet course correction at home. So why do family and friends hype people up so strongly, even when the talent isn't there? It's more complicated than just shared tone deafness. Sometimes, loved ones are living vicariously through their kids or relatives. They see a dream they never pursued, or couldn't, and pour all that hope into the child. The stage becomes their second chance. Other times, it's denial mixed with genuine affection: if I believe in them hard enough, it'll come true. Or simple fear of hurting feelings. No one wants to be the mean one who says, maybe singing isn't your path. Take the young girl who came on American Idol, a bigger girl from a bigger family. Her dad made her a dress that Simon rightly called out as looking like a wedding gown. She was genuinely confused. When Simon explained it was over the top and not helping her performance, she broke down crying outside. Her family came in to confront him, defensive and upset. She even auditioned a second time. Stories like this aren't rare. There are repeat contestants, like the young man who impersonated Michael Jackson, coming back year after year with the same result. These moments hurt to watch because the loved ones mean well. They're not villains. But their encouragement, without honest feedback, becomes a setup for bigger pain. A child told they're the next star at every barbecue or school concert internalizes it. By the time they reach a national stage, the fall is devastating. For adults, the pub and karaoke echo chamber only reinforces it. Psychology calls out patterns like this. Parents or friends may project their own unmet ambitions. Or they lack the musical knowledge to judge accurately. Some may even share the same pitch processing challenges, so it truly sounds good to them. Whatever the mix, the outcome is the same: false confidence meets reality in front of millions. The compassionate truth. Real love includes gentle honesty. Spotting someone's actual gifts, whether art, mechanics, teaching, or something else, and steering them toward those builds stronger self-worth than propping up an unreachable dream. Simon's blunt style sometimes lacked softness, but his core point was often right: don't set them up for failure. Now that we've talked about how contestants experience their own voices, let's go deeper into the actual neurological science of pitch perception. Because once you understand how the brain processes sound, you'll see why some people truly cannot hear what the rest of us hear. And this is where compassion becomes non-negotiable. When you hear a musical note, any note, your ear isn't just hearing it. It's analyzing it, breaking it down, measuring it. Pitch perception is one of the most complex things the human brain does. It involves tiny hair cells in the inner ear, electrical signals traveling through the auditory nerve, and specialized regions of the brain, especially the auditory cortex, that decode frequency, tone, and musical intervals. For most people, this system works beautifully. You hear a note. Your brain identifies it. You match it. You adjust. It's automatic, like breathing. But for people with congenital amusia, the wiring is different. Their auditory cortex doesn't process pitch the same way. The signals arrive distorted, incomplete, or misinterpreted. Imagine trying to read a sentence where half the letters are missing. You'd fill in the blanks with what you think should be there. That's what their brain does with pitch. It fills in the blanks incorrectly. So when they sing, they hear themselves as perfectly on key, even when they're nowhere close. This isn't stubbornness. This isn't denial. This isn't arrogance. This isn't mental illness. It's neurology. Their brain is literally giving them the wrong information. Scientists have studied this for years. People with amusia often struggle with distinguishing one note from another, hearing when a melody goes up or down, matching pitch with their own voice, recognizing when someone else is off key, hearing harmonies or musical intervals. And here's the part most people don't know. Amusia has nothing to do with hearing loss. Their ears work. It's the processing that's different. Think of it like this. If you hand two people the same photograph, one might see every detail, the colors, the shadows, the textures. The other might see a blurry version, missing half the image. Same picture, different brain. That's pitch perception. When the pitot tube on a plane gets blocked, the instrument panel lies. The pilot sees you're flying level, even when the plane is tilted or climbing. The pilot isn't delusional. The instrument is wrong. That's what happens in the brain of someone with amusia. Their internal, pitch instrument, is giving them false readings. So when they walk into an audition room, full of confidence, full of hope, full of dreams, and the judges tell them they're off key, they're not pretending to be shocked. They are shocked because their brain has been telling them a different story their entire life. This is why some contestants cry. This is why some freeze. This is why some get angry. This is why some storm out. This is why some families defend them fiercely. They're not reacting to the judges. They're reacting to a sudden collision between their internal reality and the external one. And that collision hurts. It's not just embarrassment. It's identity. Imagine believing your whole life that you could sing, because your brain told you so, and then discovering, in front of millions, that the instrument you trusted was wrong. That's not comedy. That's heartbreak. That's neurology. That's humanity. And that's why compassion matters. Now that we've explored how the brain processes pitch, let's talk about something just as fascinating: the genetics of musical ability. Because if you've ever wondered why some families seem to produce singers the way apple trees produce apples, there's a reason. And it's not magic. It's biology. Think about the families we all know from music history. Whitney Houston, her mother Cissy Houston, and her cousin Dionne Warwick, 3 generations of powerhouse voices. The Braxtons, Tony, Tamar, Tracy, Tawanda, and Trina, all with distinct but undeniably musical voices. The Jacksons, Michael, Janet, and Jermaine, a family where rhythm and pitch seemed to live in their DNA. These aren't coincidences. They're patterns. Scientists have studied musical ability for decades, and the findings are clear. Musical talent often runs in families. Not because of favoritism, not because of luck, but because certain auditory traits are heritable, passed down through genes, just like eye color or height. Let's break it down. Number 1. Pitch perception can be inherited. Some people are born with extremely precise pitch discrimination. Their auditory cortex is wired to detect tiny differences in frequency, differences most people never notice. This trait can be passed from parent to child. It's why some families produce singers who can harmonize effortlessly, match pitch instantly, and hear musical intervals with surgical accuracy. Number 2. Vocal fold structure can be genetic. The physical structure of the vocal cords, their length, thickness, elasticity, can be inherited. This affects tone, range, resonance, vocal strength. It's why some families have naturally warm voices, naturally bright voices, or naturally powerful voices. Number 3. Auditory motor coordination can be genetic. Singing isn't just hearing, it's coordinating breath, muscle movement, and pitch simultaneously. Some people inherit stronger neural pathways for this coordination. It's like being born with better, musical reflexes. Number 4. Musical memory can be genetic. Some individuals inherit stronger auditory memory, the ability to remember melodies, intervals, and rhythms with incredible clarity. This makes learning songs easier and staying on pitch more natural. And here's the part that matters for our documentary. Just as musical ability can be inherited, pitch processing challenges can be inherited too. Families who are tone deaf often don't know they're tone deaf. They cheer each other on because they genuinely hear the performance is good. Their auditory, instrument panels, are all calibrated the same way, even if that calibration is off. This creates what psychologists call a family echo chamber. Everyone hears the same distorted pitch. Everyone believes the same false feedback. Everyone reinforces the same illusion. Not out of malice, out of love, out of shared perception. So when a contestant walks into an audition room, full of confidence, backed by years of family praise, and the judges tell them they're off-key, it's not just their dream that shatters. It's the entire family's shared reality. This is why some families storm the judges' table. This is why some parents get defensive. This is why siblings argue with Simon Cowell. This is why cousins insist the judges are wrong. They're not lying. They're not manipulating. They're not delusional. They're hearing the world through the same inherited auditory lens. And here's the compassionate truth. If musical talent can run in families, so can musical limitations. And neither one defines a person's worth. Some families produce singers. Some produce dancers. Some produce mechanics. Some produce teachers. Some produce artists. Some produce caregivers. Musical ability is just one thread in the tapestry of human genetics, not a measure of intelligence, value, or potential. So the next time you see a contestant say, "My whole family says I can't sing," remember this. They might be telling the truth. Their family might genuinely hear them as talented. Their genetics might be shaping their entire musical reality. And that's why compassion matters. Because behind every off-key note, there might be a family who hears harmony. Behind every shocked reaction, there might be generations of inherited perception. Behind every audition, there might be a story written not just by dreams, but by DNA. Now that we've explored the brain and the genetics, we need to talk about something even deeper, the psychology of denial and identity shock. Because when a contestant walks into an audition room believing they can sing, and the judges tell them they can't, the reaction you see isn't just disappointment. It's an identity crisis. For many contestants, singing isn't just a hobby. It's who they believe they are. It's the story they've told themselves since childhood. It's the dream their family reinforced. It's the talent they thought they possessed. It's the future they imagined. So when Simon Cowell says, "You're off key," he's not just critiquing a performance. He's shattering a self-concept. This is where psychology steps in. Number 1. Identity shock. Identity shock happens when a person receives information that contradicts a core belief about themselves. It's the same psychological response people have when they discover a partner cheated, lose a job they thought they were excelling at, learn a truth that rewrites their personal narrative. The brain reacts with disbelief, confusion, emotional flooding, defensiveness, anger, withdrawal. It's not drama. It's not immaturity. It's not being a sore loser. It's the mind trying to protect itself from a truth it wasn't prepared for. Number 2. The Dunning-Kruger effect. This is a well-documented psychological phenomenon where people with lower skill in a domain overestimate their ability, not out of arrogance, but because they lack the expertise to recognize their own mistakes. It's not stupidity. It's not delusion. It's not mental illness. It's a cognitive blind spot. And when that blind spot is exposed publicly, the emotional impact is enormous. Number 3. Denial as emotional protection. Denial isn't always negative. Sometimes it's the mind's way of cushioning a blow. When a contestant says, "No, I can't sing. My family says I'm amazing." "You're wrong. I sound just like Mariah." They're not lying. They're not manipulating. They're not being dramatic. They're trying to preserve the identity they walked in with. Denial is a psychological shield, a temporary buffer that gives the mind time to adjust to a painful truth. Number 4. The role of family reinforcement. When a contestant has been told for years, "You're incredible, you're gifted, you're the next star," that becomes part of their identity. So when the judges say otherwise, the contestant isn't just hearing, "You can't sing." They're hearing, "Your family was wrong. Your dream was false. Your identity was built on a mistake. Your future isn't what you thought." That's not just feedback. That's psychological whiplash. Number 5. Why some contestants get angry. Anger is a secondary emotion. It's what people feel when the primary emotion, hurt, fear, shame, confusion, is too overwhelming. So when a contestant lashes out, yelling, arguing, storming out, confronting judges, refusing to leave the stage, they're not reacting to the critique. They're reacting to the collapse of a self-image. Anger is easier to feel than heartbreak. Number 6. Why some contestants cry. Tears aren't weakness. They're grief. They're grieving the dream, the identity, the belief, the years of encouragement, the imagined future, the version of themselves they thought was real. It's not being dramatic. It's mourning. Number 7. Why some contestants freeze. Some stand silently, unable to speak. That's dissociation, the mind temporarily disconnecting to protect itself from emotional overload. It's not weird. It's not crazy. It's human. So the next time you see a contestant look stunned, confused, or devastated, remember this. You're not watching someone react to a bad performance. You're watching someone's identity collide with reality. You're witnessing a dream unravel, a belief collapse, a narrative rewrite, a self-concept fracture, a lifetime of reinforcement suddenly questioned. This is why compassion matters. Because behind every shocked expression, there's a human being trying to reconcile two conflicting truths. I thought I was gifted. The world says I'm not. That collision is painful. It's disorienting. It's heartbreaking. It's human. And it deserves understanding, not mockery. Understanding the difference between tone deafness and delusion is essential when examining extreme reactions in audition rooms. Not every off-key performance comes from the same place, and not every contestant is experiencing the same reality. Tone deafness, or congenital amusia, is a neurological condition. The brain struggles to process pitch accurately, causing the singer to genuinely believe they are on key even when they are not. This is not denial, stubbornness, or mental illness. It is a difference in auditory perception. The person cannot hear the mistake, so their confidence is based on what their brain reports back to them. Delusion is different. A delusion is a fixed false belief that persists despite clear evidence. In the context of auditions, this may appear as a person insisting they are destined for fame, refusing all feedback, or believing judges are conspiring against them. Delusion is psychiatric, not auditory. It is rooted in belief, not perception. Some individuals display narcissistic traits rather than neurological or psychiatric conditions. Narcissism involves an inflated self-view, a need for admiration, and difficulty accepting criticism. This can amplify overconfidence, but it is not the same as amusia and not the same as clinical delusion. The line between these experiences is clear. Tone deafness is about how sound is processed. Delusion is about how reality is interpreted. Narcissism is about how the self is valued. They can overlap, but they are not interchangeable. Mislabeling every off-key singer as crazy or delusional creates stigma and erases the real challenges faced by people with neurological pitch processing differences. Understanding these distinctions deepens empathy. It prevents unfair assumptions. It acknowledges that some individuals need musical guidance, while others may need psychological support. It reinforces that compassion begins with accuracy, and accuracy begins with seeing the full human story behind each audition. After everything we've explored, the brain, the genetics, the psychology, the family dynamics, there's one truth that rises above all of it. Compassion is not optional, it's essential. Because behind every off-key note, every shocked expression, every tear, every argument, every defensive parent, every angry contestant, there is a human being doing the best they can with the information their brain, their upbringing, and their life experience have given them. When you watch those worst auditions, it's easy to laugh. It's easy to cringe. It's easy to judge. But it's harder, and far more meaningful, to pause and ask, what is this person hearing? What were they told their whole life? What does this moment mean to them? What does this rejection do to their identity? Because for some contestants, singing is not just a skill. It's a dream, a hope, a story they've carried since childhood, a belief reinforced by family, friends, and years of encouragement. And when that belief collides with reality in front of millions, it's not entertainment, it's heartbreak. Compassion means understanding the invisible battles. It means recognizing that some contestants have neurological differences, some inherited pitch processing challenges, some grew up in families who genuinely heard them as talented, some lived in echo chambers of false praise, some were never told the truth gently. Some built their identity around a dream that wasn't theirs. Some are grieving the loss of who they thought they were. Compassion doesn't mean pretending everyone can sing. It doesn't mean sugarcoating. It doesn't mean lying. Compassion means telling the truth with kindness, long before the world tells it with cruelty. Compassion means protecting people from public pain. It means saying, I love you, but singing may not be your path. You have other gifts, let's explore them. I want you to succeed, not be hurt. Your worth is not tied to this one talent. It means steering someone toward their strengths instead of letting them crash into their limitations on national television. Compassion means seeing the human being, not the punchline. It means remembering that the contestant who froze is overwhelmed. The contestant who cried is grieving. The contestant who argued is protecting their identity. The contestant who stormed out is hurting. The contestant who looked confused is experiencing neurological reality shock. The contestant whose family defended them is reacting from love, not malice. Compassion means acknowledging the complexity. Because these auditions are not simple. They're not black and white. They're not good singer versus bad singer. They're intersections of biology, psychology, genetics, family dynamics, culture, identity, dreams, heartbreak, hope. Compassion means choosing humanity over humor. Laugh if something is genuinely funny, humor is healing. But don't let laughter erase empathy. Don't let entertainment erase understanding. Don't let shock erase kindness. Compassion means remembering this one truth. Nobody deserves to have their identity shattered for sport. Not the cowboy who walked in with his whole family cheering. Not the girl in the homemade dress. Not the psychic in white. Not the man who held the note too long. Not Abby and Lisa. Not the Michael Jackson impersonator. Not the contestants who returned year after year. Not the ones who passed away. Not the ones who believed they were gifted because their brain told them so. Not the ones who were lied to out of love. Compassion means seeing the person behind the performance. Seeing their story. Seeing their struggle. Seeing their humanity. And choosing to respond with understanding instead of judgment. So the next time you watch shows like American Idol, America's Got Talent, or Britain's Got Talent, or any audition show, look again. Look deeper. Look with compassion. Because behind every off-key note is a human being with a story. Behind every reaction is a lifetime of belief. Behind every audition is a heart trying its best. And sometimes, the kindest thing we can do is simply understand.